So we are going to cover today the next topic on the same module, that is module number 2. Same module, that is module number 2, is truss, called trusses. So this is the again topic comes under module 2 only. It's not a new model. Same module 2 only. There is a topic known as trusses. As we referred a previous year question paper in the last class. Some problem maybe one they will ask you on the bar, or sometime mainly on the trusses. Any one definitely they will ask you. So therefore we covered 1D bar fully. Now we are going to cover model number 2, that is trusses. Here also, what are the topics we are going to study is introduction. What is stresses? What are its properties? And derive the stiffness matrix for this to calculate the unknowns value for this, though, and numerical problems. The numerical problems, as I told, almost in all module, it follow the same step what we done. So in the like 1D bar, same steps. Only the formulas are those going to changes. That's what the easiest one is. The element fem is the one of the easiest to calculate the things in numerical. Why? Because almost it follow the same steps, but in other subject it's not like that. It is totally different, but here it's not like that. Steps are same. Maybe the uh, what is that uh, formula is going to be changed. That's all. So let us begin with that module number 2, trusses. So let's take the first one, introduction. What do you mean by truss? A truss is a structural member made up of number of bars welded or riveted at joint used to take loads, um, used to take the loads, and application used in the building groups, bridge, transmission towers, etc. See, the trusses in the sense it's kind of a structural member. Obviously, truss also kind of structural member. It made up of number of bars. It means it is more than one. It is made up of 100,000 like that. So that bars they are going to join. Either maybe they are going to be each bar going to be connected with the welding permanently, or it may be riveted joint, or it may be bolt and nut, temporary joints. So therefore, that is known as a truss. And applications are like building groups, bridges, transmission towers, like this. You can see. Have you seen these bridges? No, this sound all it's called a trusses. So you can see this is called a roof truss, and this is the bridge truss. You can see this is called bar. So these bars are either placed vertically, or it may be horizontally, or it may be any position inclined. So like that. So that number of bars together called a structure is known as a truss. And you've seen the mobile tower, correct? Hello, Eiffel Tower. You seen Eiffel Tower? Where is Eiffel Tower? Is there? Eiffel Tower is that and all. It is called a trusses. So it made up a number of bars like this, bridges and all this and so this bars going to be uh, joined. Either it may be welded or riveted, or it may be a temporary joints. Usually welded or riveted means they are going to use to get a rigid structure that they are going to do. So that structure is known as a truss. Now we are going to take up here only on the trusses now application. So what is truss, and what how to calculate the whenever it is going to load, how to calculate the reaction, stress, strain, all those things you are going to take. I think this is the new part application. You are not studied in the what you call MOM or DME. So that we are going to take it here. So you can see the figure is a kind of structure is called truss. This is one bar. See number of bars are here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like that, all this together is called as a truss. So, and what is the characteristic or properties of this? So truss element can resist only the axial forces. Either it may be tension or compression only in the axial direction. So as a case in the same bar also structure member, it can take either it may be only the axial load. Axial means there are two types again. It can take only the forces in an axial direction. Axial in the means along the with respect to the, what do you mean by axial? What do you mean by axial? Hello? What do you mean by axial means? Yes, the load acting with respect to the central axis of the member. So therefore, this truss also can resist only the axial forces along its central axis, either axial, there are two. Either it may be a tension or compression. It never take the bending load. Keep this in mind. Bar, truss, both are same property almost. It will not be able to carry transverse loads or bending movement. That is what I said. Second character is very important. It will not take any transverse or bending load. The loads and the reactions applied only at the joints. So where the loads are going to apply means only at the where the joints is there, not at the any middle. Not they are going to apply here or here. They are going to apply either only at the joints or supports like this. So that is what a property is called characteristic of a truss. Truss can take only the loads on the axial direction. Truss cannot be take the bending load, and loads and reactions only produced at the joints, not on any between the bars. So these are the some important characteristics of the trusses. Clear? Clear? Is it clear? Trusses understood? Trusses understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what are the class types of truss are there? Again, here, based on the geometry or based on degree of freedom on the node joint, they are going to classify it as 2D and 3D. So, plane stress, 2D called is a plane stress, 3D called a space stress. Plane stress, space stress. Plane stress usually called 2D, space stress usually called 3D. Usually called 3D. So that is what we are explaining. What is planar stress or plane stress means? The planar stresses are two components in xy directions for the displacement as well as forces at node in this member lie in the plane and loaded in the same plane. See, can you tell me? I think you have studied about types of elements. One is called bar element, one is also truss element. Correct? No, bar and truss. Both element you discussed in the module one, right?
Yes, sir.
Now tell me what may the difference between bar and truss element? What is the difference between bar and truss element?
One day, sir.
Both are only. What may the major difference? And one more thing, that is what in module number one, that question I asked it first question itself the assignment question. Nobody written about truss and beam elements. I've seen that. But is it I in when I going to explain? Is it I'm left that both? I'm not explain that beam and truss. Is it I done? I explained or not about beam element and bar element? Beam element and bar element, is it I explained or not in the types of element topic? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Is it I explained or not beam and bar element? Hello? Please respond. Hello?
Explain, sir.
Then why you not written that? When you're writing, you should know now. Why you not written that? Nobody's written. That is what I've said.
So, only three is there, sir.
Huh?
Only three is there, sir.
No, see, the only types of elements are 1D element, 2D element, 3D elements, and special type of elements like layer elements and what you call truss element, beam elements. These are all types of comes under that element types of special types of element. So usually bar element, beam element going to use for the when you're going to solve the beam problem, and truss element specially we're going to use when you're solving the truss problem. So it's it comes under 1D types only. So bar is a kind of a 1D bar element. It's having 1 degree of freedom at each node. What about truss? How many degree of freedom at each node? How many degree of freedom at each node?
2 degrees, sir.
2 degree. That is one is along x along y. And what about beam element? What about beam element? What about beam? there are three. One is, there are two again. One is translation and one is rotation, because beam going to bend, no, it's a rotation. Therefore, 2 degree of freedom at each node. So here in trusses there are two types. One is planar trusses and space trusses. In planar trusses there are two components. One is along displacement along x, displacement along y. We are going to consider only along x and y, as well as force at the node also. So this type of trusses is known as planar truss. And also spaces truss means there will be a three components. One is x, y, z. They are going to consider the displacement along all three with respect to the direction x, y, z. That's why it's called 3D. So therefore x, y, z and z direction for both displacement and force at a node. Displacement also they are considered along with the x, y, z, and forces also they are going to consider along with x, y, z. So that is known as a space truss. So this is the main difference between planar truss and space truss. Plane truss is a 2D member, space truss is a 3D member. Keep this in mind. Got it? So here entire module of this truss topic we are going to deal with the 2D truss, that is planar truss, not 3D. Is it clear? Plane truss and
Yes, sir.
space truss is clear. Okay. So in plane trusses, a typical two-dimensional plane truss is shown. Example, you can see that this is the 2D types of trusses, that is plane truss. In each node, you can observe that in each joint, you can observe the displacement with respect to x and y, q1, q2, q3, q4, q5, q6, like that. And also forces also they are going to consider. So therefore, a typical two-dimensional truss is shown. It comprises two forces member connected by frictionless joint. All loads and reactions are applied at joints only. You can see they are applied the force as well as displacement only at the joints. Reactions also we produce only at the joints. So therefore, this type of stress is known as a plane stress. There are two displacement components at given node denoted with a Q2J1, Q2J. You can see J stands for node number, here, here, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. So we are deal with the entire year 2D types of trusses, that is planar trusses, not on the 3D. Is it clear? Planar trusses and space trusses difference, you got it?
Sir.
All of you clear?
Sir. Sir.
See, and one more thing, in plane stresses should satisfy this condition, that is m is equal to 2j minus 3, where m is nothing but number of bar. If you want to calculate what is the number of bar is required means, this is the formula you have to use, 2j minus 3, where j stands for number of joint, m stands for number of bars. For example, you can see here,
Sir.
yeah, tell me. For example, you can see here, how many joints are here in this truss? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Therefore, the number of bars become 2j minus 3, that is, we will get to 7. Correct now?
Yes, sir.
You can count it. You can count it.
Sir.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, 7 bars are there. So, if you know the number of joints, you can directly calculate how many number of bars is required. So, this condition has to be satisfied by the planar stresses. So, that is m is equal to 2j minus 3. Got it? Now, again, here also some assumption they will going to do. In a FEM, when you're going to solve the truss problem, some assumption they are going to do. Let me see what are those assumptions. Very important. Load applied at node only means it is assumed only at the nodes. In between the element, they are not going to apply. Only at the nodes. That is nothing but joints. Joints in a truss are assumed to be frictionless. It means completely frictionless. No friction will be produced. But practically, it is not. There is a friction. But here we are not consider that friction. We are going to neglect it. That is frictionless joints. Self weight of bar is neglected. Again, we are not going to consider the rho W term. Self weight W. What is W? What is W? W I'm asking. W. Rho W means weight density. But W means what? Only W means what?
Weight. Only
Weight.
weight, sir.
How to calculate the weight? How to calculate the weight? How to calculate the weight? Hello? How to calculate the weight? You know rho W, weight density. How to calculate the weight? We done the problem on the bars, no self weight problems. Hello? What is rho W? Weight density means what? What is the definition of weight density?
Mass into gravity.
That is mass into gravity. Okay. If you know rho W, what do you mean by rho W? Weight density definition is what? Ratio of weight per unit what? Weight per unit what?
Kg per meter.
Uh, I don't know whether you're following or not. Simply you're saying yes, sir, we are understanding or not. Simply, I think so. I'm asking what is weight density definition? Weight density means weight per unit what? Unit? Ruchita?
Volume, sir.
Yes. Weight per unit volume. Therefore, weight become rho W into V. That is what we done in the taper type problem, no?
Yes, sir.
Then that is why I'm asking that why you're not answering. Now that weight density, what is there? Or weight is not with there. That we are going to neglect here. We are not going to consider. Due to load applied, each of the bar of the truss either tensile or compressed. That is means only the axial, no bending. That is what either it may be tensile or it may be a compression is there. That's all. So these are the some assumptions which is made in the entire truss topic. One is load applied at the node, joint are assumed to be frictionless, self-weight are neglected, and load applied at the bar either it may be tensile or compressive forces. Now these are the assumptions. Next one. Again, in the trusses, there are two types of problem we are considering. In a structure, there are two types of structure will be there. One is called determinate structure, one is called indeterminate structure. With respect to trusses here, determinate and indeterminate trusses, both are opposite word. So determinate, indeterminate problems. Determinate problems, indeterminate problem. Anyone heard about this word, determinate and indeterminate? Determinate and indeterminate. Anyone heard? Huh? Anyone heard? You people heard it or not? Determinate and indeterminate problems are structure. Hello? Okay. So this is also very important technical term and also technical questions will be there. What is determinate and indeterminate structure means? Determinate means with respect to trusses means a determinate truss one which can be completely analyzed by using static equilibrium condition. See, it may be a truss or any types of structural problem you take it. The unknowns are usually calculated using equilibrium conditions. Like there are four equilibrium condition. Keep this in mind. Uh, One is in two equilibrium condition. One is summation of force equal to 0 and summation of a movement should be equal to 0. That means in summation of forces again two types. Summation of vertical force should be equal to 0 and summation of horizontal force should be equal to 0. So therefore, if the problem can be solved using this equilibrium condition, then the problem is known as or structure is known as determinate structure. Our problem is known as determinate problem. So indeterminate means opposite. A indeterminate trusses one which cannot be completely analyzed by using static equilibrium means this condition was not satisfied. This condition is cannot be it's this condition only these two condition by using this itself it not possible to find the unknowns or cannot be solved by using only these two element condition or that is known as indeterminate means indeterminate stress one which cannot be completely analyzed by using static equilibrium. Static equilibrium means summation of F equal to 0, summation of M equal to 0. That is force and movement. And that is known as indeterminate structure. So usually mom problems will deal with the mainly uh, that is classical approach will deal with the mainly determinist types of problems structure means it can be solved easily using equilibrium condition. So but FEA it is not like that. There is no limit for that. You can apply to any types of uh, problem structure that is determinate or indeterminate. So here also we can solve the problem for the stresses. Either it may be determinate stresses or indeterminate stresses. Any types of problem we can solve using FEM. That is the greatest flexibility of the advantage of the FEM method. Got it? Determinate and indeterminate, very important one. Technical question. Understood? Understood.
Yes, sir.
Determinate means the unknowns can be solved using static equilibrium condition. Indeterminate means it cannot be solved using the static equilibrium condition. That's only the difference. Static equilibrium conditions are two. Summation of force equal to 0, summation of movement equal to 0. Again, in summation of force, there are two types. Vertical force equal to 0, horizontal force equal to 0. That's all. Got it? Understood?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Up to here is the introduction part about the truss. All of you understood? Is it clear? Tomorrow, if I ask the question, you should be ready to answer. Understood, all of you?
Yes, sir.
All of you.
Yes,
Don't make
sir.
me angry, okay? All should be respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. By completion of this introduction part, we are moving to the derivation part now. So here there are two derivation comes, but as a point of examination, only one derivation is important, that is stiffness matrix derivation. In order to derive the stiffness matrix, we need to derive one more small derivation, that is transformation matrix. If you know transformation matrix, then only can derive the stiffness matrix. That's what the reason. Here out of two, only one is important. That is what we are going to solve in the next. But this one you should know first. Let me see. Derivation of transformation matrix for a 2D or plane trusses. Either it may be a local coordinate system or global coordinate system. Can anyone tell me what is local and global coordinate system? What is local and global coordinate system? Can anyone tell me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
The local is a set of x, y, and z axis associated with each node in the model.
Okay, what about mean by global? All are there, no? Diana, Veena, Sheikh, Sheikh Basha, Krupanand, Suman.
Yes, sir.
You are there,
Yes, sir.
no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You are written, all of you written the assignment, right?
Yes, sir.
Then, what you written then? You could answer it, right? Simply you copied.
Y coordinate using the global coordinates.
No, that is okay. X and Y means nothing. It's concept wise is explained properly. Again, Taj, Diana,
Yes, sir.
tell me.
The global coordinate systems corresponds to entire body
See,
easy to define on
stop, stop it. See, Global coordinate system means we are going to express the position of the elements or nodes, whatever it may be, with respect to the origin. That is x, y, or it may be z in case of 3D. Local coordinate system means we are going to define the position of the elements or nodes with at the nodes, or it may be a center of the elements. Hello, you got it?
Yes.
Understand? Now, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That means to show that when you're writing, you are not going to concentrate. Simply, you are copied like. See, here the location of the nodes are specified with respect to origin. That is known as global. See, x, y. But local means location of these nodes are specified either at the nodes only in case of like 1D, or in case of 2D or 3D, center of the element like x, y here. You can see. But natural. Next one. What do you mean by natural? Natural coordinate system is what? Again, this is also kind of local system only. They specify the nodes or elements within the elements itself or nodes itself only, but using a number, normalized number or dimensionless number. That is, its absolute value never be exceed unity. Here, zeta, it represented by zeta, either here +1 or -1. At center, it is 0. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Cartesian means we are going to represent the position of the continuum with respect to x, y, z. Polar means we are going to express the position of the continuum with respect to r, theta, z. How can you forget the basics? That's what I told you to prepare every day and come. What your people simply are coming without preparing that. Don't make me angry, okay? I don't like this. Okay. Understood all of you, local and global?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good.
So now we are going to derive the transformation matrix called as L, capital L, that we are going to derive for the plane stress. We are not deal with the space 3D stress, only 2D stress we are going to deal with that. Keep this in mind. So for this, they consider one bar like this, 2D truss, 2D truss they consider. With respect to global coordinate, it is xy. With respect to local coordinate, the node 1, it is y dash, node 2 x1 dash. That is what. One is the coordinate system that align with the length of the element is called local coordinate system. With respect to the element only, we are going to represent it. So that is known as local coordinate system. Here x dash, y dash. With respect to global, xy. The other coordinate system that does not align with the element. See, it is not aligned. It is always represented with a x is horizontal, y is vertical. In a 1D bar element with a local coordinate system are same, but in case of truss, local coordinates are different for each truss element. This is very important difference. In 1D bar element, in 1D bar element, both local and global coordinates are same. So in case of 1D bar, so what is the local coordinate? X, x dash, y dash are same. But in case of trusses is there, no? Both are different. For each truss element, both are different. That is very important. So now, let us consider truss element having a node 1 and node 2, local and node 2. Local coordinates is passing through the node 1 and node 2 respectively by x dash, y dash. X dash, y dash. That is this one. So in that truss, they are considered one bar element. So which is represented by the local coordinates are x dash, y dash at node and node 2. Now, due to the load applied, truss element attain a new position. What happened? Now this is the initially this position is there. That is what we're showing here. Initially this position, because of applied force, it take a displacement. It going to move like this. This is the second displacement after you apply the mode. It move to this position. Thereby, due to the applied force, truss attain a new position shown in figure. Thereby, locally node 1 has a displacement of q1 dash and node 2 is a displacement of q2 dash. But in a global coordinate system, each node having a t2 degree of freedom. That is x displacement of node 1 is q1, y displacement of node 2 node 1 is q2. See, this is the initially the bar element, truss element will be there. Here at node 1 it is called y dash with respect to local here x1 x dash. So now because of the applied the force, this element going to be displaced like this. This is the second position. Therefore what happened here? What happened here is thereby local node 1 as a displacement of q1 dash, means you can see q1 dash. Where is the q1 dash? Yes, because of this applied force, this node 1, this is the node 1 here. Node 1 is displaced, take a displacement with respect to the local coordinate system is q1 dash, that is q1 dash here. Sorry, not this one. I'll erase it here. So this node 1, it take a displacement with respect to along the element only, no? Initially it is here and move to here. Therefore, the local displacement take place of the node 1 is q1 dash. Where is q1 dash? Here. That is from here to here. I will write one perpendicular line here, and same perpendicular line I will draw from this second portion. This is for the node 1 after displacement. This distance parallel displacement will take place is q1 dash with respect to the local coordinate system. Similarly, at node 2, with respect to the local coordinate system, the displacement take place by the node 2 is after the displacement from here to here. Again, this distance is called as q2 dash. Called as q2 dash. Again, you draw the one vertical line here and a perpendicular line, and this is one more perpendicular line. So, with respect to this distance, the displacement of the node 2 take a local coordinate system with respect to the displacement is q2 dash. But in case of global coordinate system, the displacement of node 1 and node 2 take a displacement with respect to x and y. Means as we know, truss element having a 2 degree of freedom at each node with respect to global coordinate system, one is x direction, one is y direction. Therefore, with respect to the global coordinate system, x1, so this x node 1 will move to this here, no? So this horizontal displacement from here to here, that displacement with respect to x is q1. Similarly, at node 1, with respect to the y coordinate, the displacement is q2. Similarly, at node 2, with respect to the x coordinate, global coordinate system, the horizontal displacement is q3 here. Similarly, the node 2, the with respect to y coordinate, the nodal displacement is q4. The nodal displacement is q4. That's what we written here. So the x displacement of node 1 is q1 and y displacement is q2. Similarly, at node 2, q3 is the x displacement with respect to the x coordinate, and with respect to the y, it is q4. First, all of you understood this figure concept. Is it clear or any doubts? Any doubts here? Hello? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, let us consider one bar element in a truss having a node 1 and 2 with respect to the global coordinate system and with respect to local coordinate system, with respect to global is xy, with respect to the local x dash y dash. So x1 x dash is at node 2, y dash is here. Okay, now because of applied force, when I'm going to apply the force on this bar element, it take a displacement like this. Therefore the node 1 will take a displacement with respect to the local coordinate system is initially here and finally comes node 1 here. Therefore the with respect to local coordinate system, we take a displacement of q1 dash. Similarly node 2, we take a displacement of from here to here, it is q2 dash. By drawing this perpendicular line, you can get that. Now similarly this node 1 and node 2 take a displacement with respect to the global system is, as we know, in truss element it's having 2 degree of freedom. Each node with respect to x, it is q1 q2 at node 1, q3 q4 at node 2, q5 q6 at node 3, like that. Therefore node 1 it take a displacement with respect to the x is q1, and node 1 which takes a displacement with respect to the y direction is q2. Similarly the node 2 will take a with respect to the displacement with respect to the x axis is q3, and will take a same node 2 will take a vertical displacement with respect to y quantity is q4. Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now sorry, all of you understood this figure? All of you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
now what I'm going to do, from this point, I'm going to dropping one vertical line. I'm dropping one vertical line. So and I'm going to, from this point where it is connected this line, no, and drawing the line with respect to this line. I'm going to draw one parallel line. Therefore here it is connected here, no, this point I called as z, and this point is called as z dash. This point is called as z dash, and with respect to this bar, it's having some theta. Now I'm going to use the trigonometric function here. So I'm going to consider triangle xyz. Where is x? This is the x. Where is y? Y is here, and z. Where is the z? Y is here, and z is here. I will erase it. I will write it once again. XYZ. X is here, y is here, and z is here. Therefore the triangle is this one. You can observe this is one triangle. Correct? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
That triangle only I written here separately. Now as we know, this is like a kind of which triangle? What type of triangle? Trigonometric function should be applied to the which type of triangle? Right angle triangle. So therefore when right angle triangle means, when you have to apply the trigonometric rules means, we should identify but first which is the horizontal, which is the opposite, which is the adjacent. Now how to identify opposite and adjacent? Huh? ಏನು?
Right angle ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಯಾಕಿಲ್ಲ?
Right angle ಇಲ್ವಲ್ಲ sir?
ಇದೆ. See here, no, with respect to this and this is the right angle. Got it? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತೇನಾ? ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ ರೈಟ್ ಆಂಗಲ್ ಟ್ರಯಾಂಗಲ್. It need not to be like this. It take any position. Tilted ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay. Now how to identify opposite adjacent hypotenuse? Can anyone tell me?
Opposite to the with respect to theta.
Theta opposite side always what is the?
No sir, with respect to theta.
With respect to is opposite. How to identify adjacent or hypotenuse?
Opposite to 90 degree angle is
Good.
hypotenuse.
Always opposite to 90 degree, this hypotenuse, and remaining will be adjacent. Good. Very good. So therefore now I'm going to apply the cos rule. So now see here, one more thing I need to explain. When I'm going to drop this vertical line and draw this line is parallel to this. So this distance I called as A, and between these two lines I called as B. Now I'm going to apply the cos rule. Cos rule is, what is cos theta? What is cos theta? Adjacent by hypotenuse. Adjacent by hypotenuse. Adjacent means I can call it as, what is this distance? A. Hypotenuse means I can call it as Q1. Therefore my A become what? A become what?
1 cos theta.
A become Q1 cos theta. Is it clear? All of you clear? All of you? Diana?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Okay. Nagin, Raj, Ramchandra, Shekhar, clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now consider one more triangle now, that is x dash y dash z. Let me see, where is x dash? See, this is called x dash. X dash. This is called where these two lines connected. No, at that point I called as y dash. This point I called as x dash. This point I called as y dash, and this is called z dash. Now this small triangle I consider. I written separately here. See this. This is a small triangle. Therefore theta is here. Now which is the adjacent side? Which is the adjacent? Which is the, so now this is become opposite. Zy dash become opposite. Obviously 90-degree opposite is hypotenuse, that is x dash z dash, and this is become adjacent. Correct now? Now here I'm going to apply the sine rule. Sine means what? Sine means what?
Opposite by hypotenuse.
Opposite by hypotenuse. See, opposite means here. So what is this distance I can call is here? This distance what I can call? According to the figure, what is this distance?
B.
B. Correct now? Hello?
Yes, sir.
This distance I can call as, this is parallel to here, no, B. And this is hypotenuse. This distance I can call as what? Q2. So this is, therefore sine theta become opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite means B. Hypotenuse nothing but Q2. Therefore my B become Q2 sine theta. My B become Q2 sine theta. Q2 sine theta. So therefore I want Q dash means what I should do? I want Q1 dash means what I should do? I want Q1 dash distance means what I should do? A plus A plus B. Therefore A plus B means I know what is A. Q1 cos theta. A B means Q2 cos theta. Correct? Understood?
Yes, sir.
So this is with respect to the Q1 dash. Now we are consider with respect to the node 1. Similarly, what is Q2 dash? What I can call similarly? Q3, Q2 dash, what I can call directly in place of Q1. What is the x what is the x direction displacement with respect to the global coordinate system? Q3. With respect to y, what is there? With respect to y, what is the distance with respect to the global coordinate system? Y direction. Q4, no? Therefore, I can directly call Q2 dash. If you want Q2 dash distance with respect to the local global coordinate system, I can call as Q3 cos theta plus Q4 sin theta. Similarly. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All of you understood? I should require response
Yes,
from
sir.
all, not one or two guys every time who are responding. I'm asking for all. Krupananda, Shekhar, Navinta, who is this? Wasim.
Yes, sir.
You understood this? Is it clear? Any doubts? Equation 1 and 2 is clear?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, this equation 1 and 2, I can write it in a matrix form. How? Like this. That means, if you multiply this, you can get the same equation. Let me verify. Cos, first row, first column. Cos theta into Q1. Yes, Q1 into cos theta we got. Sin theta into Q2. Yes, Q2 into sin theta. 0 into Q3. 0. Q3. So, therefore, we got this equation. Similarly, second one. So, what I done is, next step is, here, we return just 1 and 2 equation in the form of matrix, because finally we required in the matrix form only. That's what. So therefore, now we are going to use the terminologies here. That is very important. In entire trust, they called cos theta as L and sin theta as M. Sin theta as M. Cos theta as L, sin theta as M. What is LM means? Are directions of cosines. For directions of cosine. Therefore, in place of where cos theta sin theta is there, I can replace with the L and M. Therefore, Q1 dash Q2 dash equal to cos theta means L, sin theta means M, 0 0 0 0 cos theta L M. Therefore, finally I can write in a general form this one as Q Q dash equal to L into Q, where Q dash is nothing but nodal displacement matrix with respect to the which coordinate system? Dash in the sense which coordinate system we taken? Q1 dash Q2 dash with respect to the which coordinate system? This one.
The global coordinate.
I don't know how you are following. Dash we are used here, no, in the figure. Q1 dash Q2 dash with respect to which coordinate system?
Local.
Local. Q3, Q4, Q1, Q2 are global. Keep this in mind. Therefore, Q dash is nothing but nodal displacement vector with respect to the local coordinate system. And this L, very important, that L is only called as transformation matrix. This is what we are going to derivation is. Finally we are to derive this one. The L is nothing but transformation matrix. What is transformation matrix? Nothing but LM 0 0 0 0 LM. And Q is nothing but global nodal displacement vector. Global nodal displacement vector with respect to which coordinate system? This one. With respect to which coordinate system? With respect to the which coordinate system?
Global.
Yes.
Global. This is global.
Global. See, this L, what we derivation we have to derive is this L. L means you have to keep this in mind. Transformation matrix, that is nothing but LM 0 0 0 0 LM. Understood, all of you?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So finally you have to memorize this, and you have to remember this Q dash equal to L into Q, that we are going to use this relation in the next derivation, important derivation. And what we done is this here, direction of cosine we consider LM. How to calculate this LM value means, that is what next one is there. Direction of cosine. This is a formula again very important. So suppose they are not given a theta. Usually they will not give the theta. If not given the theta, then how to calculate LM? That they will give the distance with respect to the x direction, y direction. They will give the distance. Then with respect to distance, how to calculate this LM value? That is very important. That is known as direction of cosine. We need to calculate with respect to that distance, L, x distance, y distance they give. How to calculate this? Let us take this figure. Again, same bar you consider node 1 and node 2. Node 1 is x1, y1 with respect to the coordinate system, local coordinate, and x2, y2 here with respect to global coordinate system. Now, see, x1 means, let us consider one origin here. So this node 1 at a distance of x1 from here. Similarly, from the origin, this node 1 at a distance of y1 from the origin. I will repeat once again. I will consider one origin here. Origin. Where is origin? Origin is here. Now node 1 from the origin at a distance of x1, and node 1 with respect to origin at a distance of y1 with respect to the y direction. Similarly, node 2 from the origin it is at a distance of x2. Similarly, with respect to the x direction, node 2 with respect to the y direction, it is at a distance of y2. From the origin with respect to the y direction, it is at a distance of y2. So node 1 with respect to origin is x1, with respect to y is y1. Similarly, node 2 with respect to origin is x2, and with respect to origin is y2. Therefore, what is this distance become from here to? Suppose I'll drop one line here, vertical line here. What is the distance become now? I know from here to here x2. I know here to here x1. What is this distance become? Here to here become distance what? X2 minus x1. Similarly, I will drop one vertical line here. I know from here to here it is y1. And I know from here to here it is y2. Therefore, what is this distance become up to here to here? Y2 minus y1. Correct now? Hello?
Sir.
All of you clear?
Sir.
From origin, this is the origin. Okay, 0 comma 0 here. This from the origin node 1 at a distance of x1, node and node 2 at a distance of x2. Similarly, from the origin node 1 at a distance of y1 from the with respect to the vertical direction. Similarly, node 2 is y2. Therefore, this distance from here to here it is with respect to the horizontal direction is x2 minus x1, and from here to here the distance become with respect to the vertical is y2 minus y1. Therefore, now here it looked like a triangle. It looked like a triangle. Okay, I will write the triangle separately somewhere. Okay, I will write the triangle separately here. Look like a triangle, right angle triangle. Let us consider this is the theta, and here it is LE. The hypotenuse look like it is LE. Now, what is this distance become now? What is this distance we called?
Y2 minus y1.
Y2 minus y1. And what is this distance? What horizontal distance? X2 minus x1. Now, which is the hypotenuse side now?
X2 minus.
This is the hypotenuse. This is the opposite, and this is the adjacent. Now I apply the cos theta. What is cos theta? What is cos theta?
Adjacent by hypotenuse.
Yes, adjacent by hypotenuse. What is adjacent? X2 minus x1 divided by
X2
hypotenuse is what? LE.
LE.
LE. Similarly, sin theta, opposite by hypotenuse. What is opposite? Y2 minus y1. Again,
Y2 minus y1 by
LE. Therefore, finally, and one more thing. This triangle, either I can apply trigonometric rule, and one more thing I can apply. What rule I can apply for any right angle triangle? Either trigonometric rule or what one more principle I can apply?
RHS theorem.
Yes, that is which theorem? RHS means what is that called?
Hand side.
Pythagoras theorem, no?
Sure.
So Pythagoras. So I can apply trigonometric rule or Pythagoras. Therefore, suppose I need to find LE means finally I can apply Pythagoras rule. Correct? No? LE is the hypotenuse. Therefore, I can call it as x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square root, because L square will be there. That I transfer to this side. Therefore, that is become this one. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, this is the finally you have to memorize. The direction of cosine L is called cos theta. If you know theta means, or we can know x2 minus x1 by LE if you know the distance means. Similarly, M is sin theta, or we can call y2 minus y1 by LE. Therefore, finally LE become root of these two, cos square plus sin square theta. Okay? Clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir.
Is it clear, all of you?
Sir.
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So today we'll stop it here. Okay. So today we discussed what is stress, what are its properties, what are the types of stress, then what are the assumptions made in that, what is determinate and indeterminate stresses, and we discussed derivation of transformation matrix, and we done direction of cosines. Up to here we done today. So next class we are going to take a very important thing, that is derivation of very important derivation, stiffness matrix for the stress element, that we are going to derive. Very easiest one and very important. Okay, clear? Any doubts?